Identity isn't fixed. It breaks, it rebuilds, and sometimes comes back stronger than it ever started. My guest today is living proof of that. One injury could have ended his story, broke him. Instead, it started a new one. And a few weeks ago, that story was him standing on top of a podium in San Diego. Before we get into it, Dan, what do we need to know about you and your journey to best understand your story?
I'm ex-British Army. I joined the Army in 2022, got injured in 2023. So I had a pretty short stint, and then I got medically discharged in 2025. So I spent 2 years being downgraded and going through rehab and things like that. I got diagnosed with a condition called complex regional pain syndrome in my ankle after an injury. And basically that I live in chronic pain in the lower limb, in my lower left limb and my left ankle and foot. Later on, I then got an infection in a finger, and then the CRPS jumped into my arm and my hand. So now it affects two limbs on my body. I then recently being diagnosed with a condition called fixed dystonia. So that's basically like the twisting of your muscles. So where my brain is disassociating the painful parts of my body's now trying to get in comfortable positions by twisting and trying to move itself, except it's really not that comfortable and hurts quite a bit. So yeah, that's just an extra thing to live with. But during my time being injured, I came across adaptive CrossFit, and it was I didn't really know what it was. I knew what CrossFit was, but didn't know there was adaptive CrossFit. So basically ended up starting this adaptive CrossFit in 2024, and I started it in Pure Gym. And I did my first open in a Pure Gym. So set up all my tripod, recorded all my videos in Pure Gym, got some funny looks, but hey ho, is what it is. And then, yeah, managed to qualify for semi-finals and qualified for the 2024 CrossFit Games. And that was essentially the start of my CrossFit journey, really. That helped me like move on from the initial injury and my diagnosis of CRPS. So yeah, basically injury could have stopped me. I could have went downhill, and it is hard. Life is hard, but everyone's got a hard life, not just me. So I try and make the most of the situation and carry on as I am, really.
Yeah, amazing. And that's such a good kind of overview of your story. Now, there's a couple of things I want to kind of pick up and pick into as we go through. Like, I don't want to spend too long there, but the day of your injury, what can you tell us about it? Because obviously I understand that some of it is a little bit like confidential, protected.
Yeah.
And what can you remember about it?
So basically it was a night exercise, and we'd nearly finished this night navigation exercise, and I was at the front doing the lead in, and basically you can't really see. So you're just stepping and trying to use the map to as best you can. But I just went over in a pothole and went over on my ankle and didn't really think much of it. I just thought, oh, that really hurt. Because we were nearly finished. So basically just went over on my ankle, and then got back to where we were staying for the night. We spent a bit of time doing our route cards for the next day, which is like mapping out your next route and things like that. And then my foot started to swell up whilst I was doing this, and I took my boot off because it was starting to get really tight in my boot. And then basically I couldn't get my shoe back on. So I was about to go to bed to walk to go and get go to sleep. And I couldn't get my boot on. So I thought, well, we've got to be up in a couple of hours. Hopefully it'll go down. Hopefully it'll chill out. Maybe it's just a little bit angry because I went over on it with all my kit on, like extra weight. So it's not just my body weight. Wasn't used to it. Went to sleep, carried on as you do, got up in the morning, and it had gone down a bit, but it was still quite sore. And one of the training team saw me limping and told me to go and speak to the medic quickly. So I went in, spoke to the medic. He strapped me up, gave me some ibuprofen and paracetamol, and was like, "Yeah, you're good to go." So went back out onto the next part of the exercise. Carried on as I did. Like, didn't finish the exercise because I was injured, but eventually got back to camp, and then that's when over the weekend it was like started to get worse and worse. And then over that week, I then went and got some X-rays and things done.
Yeah,
And
amazing.
basically, yeah, so went and got the X-rays done, and that's where the story starts, really.
Yeah, and you get those X-rays done, and then what is the kind of like first thoughts that are going through your head?
Well, it felt like I'd broken my ankle. Like, that's what it felt like. Like, it was that much pain and it was that swollen, but I had X-rays, no broken ankle. So yeah, no broken ankle. So I went like back to the doctor, and they booked me in for an MRI. Had my MRIs, and I was like, surely. Well, the MRI was probably like 2 weeks later, and surely by now the pain should start to go down a little bit. And I was like, yeah, it's still a bit sore. I've got like burning pains in my foot and in my ankle, which is slightly different to a broken bone pain. So I had my MRI. Then it showed that I had some like, all my ligaments were very stretched. So all the doctors was surprised that I hadn't torn anything. So they were like massively lax where they'd all stretched, but they hadn't snapped. I had a slight tear of my Achilles, but that was it. So, but they were like, yeah, you should get better. Like, 6 weeks, you should be pretty good to go. 6 weeks goes by, and I'm not in a good way. My foot is swollen. It's changing color. I then get put in a moon boot for quite a bit of time. And then, yeah, I go to this hospital in Loughborough, military hospital in Loughborough, and that's where they diagnosed me with CRPS. So that was where I got my official diagnosis, because I went to see pain specialists there, and they were like, yeah, you've got complex regional pain syndrome.
Yeah, and with that, so you get that diagnosis. Like, CPRS is probably not a massively common diagnosis. Like, I maybe know you plus one other that ever have experienced anything like that. But if you go back to that moment, you get that diagnosis, and those moments where you get those bits of news, so sometimes you just sort of carry on with the day. But when it starts to go quiet, usually of the evening, maybe on the drive home, where it's just you, what do you start to think about then?
So I think at the time I was like, I'm glad that someone actually has listened to me and actually realizes that I am actually in pain. It's not just me making it up. Like, someone has listened to me, and it's like, they're like, yeah, you actually have something wrong, because I know there's something wrong. Like, I get physical symptoms. There is definitely something wrong. I shouldn't be in this much pain for a structurally sound ankle and foot, but I am. But then as well, it's a bit like, it's really hard to get your head around, because it's like, well, why has that happened? And the thing with CRPS, they don't know the reasoning why you get it. So where other things have, you get a diagnosis and there's a reason why you get it, all they know is with the CRPS is, oh yeah, that's come from that trauma. So it's like, that's the thing I struggle to get my head around, like, why I've got it. Like, what in me has caused me to get it on in that foot. Because, like, I've had injuries before. Like, I've had my shoulder reconstructed on my right hand side, and I don't think I got it then. Well, I'm pretty sure I haven't got it then. So, but then as soon as I do something on my left hand side, I get it, and it goes this. It's the same with my left arm. Like, I haven't had problems with my left arm. As soon as I get a bad infection, I get the problem. So yeah, it's that's the hard bit, like, getting your head around why you've got it, and there's no answer to why you get it, other than it's come from a trauma.
Yeah, and kind of bringing it back to like present day for the time being, where are you at with it now? So you have this condition, you don't know why it's happened. How do you feel about having CPRS right now rather than when you did at the start?
So it's hard. Like, I think I've accepted it a little bit more now. Like, I've got it. It is what it is. It's not going to go away. Like, I manage it. I do. I still do live my life to the best I can. I've got Martha, my wife, who helps me function. So she does a lot for me, which helps massively. Like, she does all the shopping, so I don't have to. So, like, things like that, it takes that stress off me. Yeah, it's more like I've got the acceptance of it is what it is. Like, I could moan about it and whinge about it and be sad about it, or you get on with it and try and make the most of it. Because at the end of the day, you only live once, don't you? So you only live once.
Yeah,
So you
definitely,
might as
mate.
well make the most of it.
Totally. And I think kind of going back to that point of like you've got the going back to we get the diagnosis and you don't really know what's next. And I think for most people, the not knowing what's next is incredibly hard. And I know it's something that's messed with me, or I've let it mess with me for years. So going back to that time where you don't know what's next, what happened kind of in the interim between understanding, okay, I've got this thing and I've got adaptive CrossFit over here. What happens in the middle?
So I had a lot of medical intervention. So there are things that have been seen to help with CRPS. So that gave me like a little bit of hope. So it's like, yeah, it might not fix it, but it might feel a little bit better. So, like, looking forward to things that could potentially help you. But on the same side, I was meant to have a spinal cord stimulator put in. So that was like my medical intervention I was going to have. So it's essentially a TENS machine they put inside your spinal cord, and then they like put the battery pack in a pocket of your muscle. So I had a trial, had that, didn't that device didn't help me. So they tried me with another device, and that helped me probably like 30%, let's say. But 30% to me was massive. But because 30% wasn't their 70%, they didn't carry on with fully implanting that into my spinal cord to help me. So I had hope that that was going to work and help me, but then that hope got stripped away, and it was a bit like, now I'm back in the cycle of what's next. And it's a lot of waiting for things that, and hearing it from other people, how they deal with it. Like a lot of the adaptive CrossFit world, like some of the guys in there have really helped me be able to like deal with the fact of you have to wait for things. Like, if it might help, it might not. But then I've got people I can talk to about it, and like they're in the same sort of boat. Yeah, they might have a different condition or a different disability, but they live it too. So it's that brought back the realization of this isn't the end of the world. Like, yeah, it's a knockback, but you just keep moving on to the next thing and the next thing, and you keep trying until hopefully something will work. So that is what kept me going in between both, like in between the injury and finding CrossFit, basically.
Yeah, totally. And I think like that this sort of stuff takes time. Like let's remove the nuance of the pain and the trials and stuff like that. Let's remove that. Like I know so many people that struggle with that waiting, and it takes
Yeah.
time, and it isn't necessarily going to be right first time, and it might fail 3 or 4 times. before you manage to hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Like, that's a hard thing to deal with without the added complexity of the pain of the, you get your hopes up about something of like, this could be it. This could be, reduce pain by 50, 60, 70% down to it doesn't at all do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like having that community, like we'll get onto it a little bit more in a moment, but the CrossFit community is great. But then it's like you being able to be exposed to people, not necessarily in the exact same boat as you, but a very similar one, is going to have been so like beneficial because you can live there in your own little world without any kind of like reference points. People get it to an extent, but like for me, for example, I can get what you're going through, but I can't necessarily like resonate on a deeper
Yeah.
level. I've never experienced it. I've never been in a situation that's comparable. So finding that, I can imagine for you, it's given a lot of peace. So talk to me a little bit more about this, about finding adaptive CrossFit and then kind of bridging that gap between, I kind of know what it is, to being in it and living it today. How did you start to move? How did you start to get into it essentially?
So I was doing CrossFit for about 3 months before I got injured. So I was based down in North Devon, and a guy owned a gym there. So I just went to his gym with two of my mates, and we just started basically doing CrossFit there, and we were training for our commando course. So we're just doing it to try and stay fit, basically. We didn't think about competing. We just were trying to be fitter and stronger. And then after I got injured, he was the one the owner of that gym, Carl, he was the one that told me about adaptive CrossFit. And yeah, so that first year, 2024, after the Open, when I qualified for semis, he invited me down to his gym and a couple other athletes, and we all did the semi-finals down at his gym. And he helped to like judge, he helped do the video like keep the standards and everything, as well as competing himself as well. So yeah, like I only knew about it because someone told me about it. And literally that completely changed that changed my life after I was injured, because I thought it was the end of the world. And then all of a sudden I had like a focus again. So, and I could still, so I've grown up playing rugby. I'm a competitive person. Like I want that. I have that will to go and compete. So it was good to have on the side of being injured and everything else that was going on in life. It was a complete distraction. And I never thought I'd be where I am now, to be honest with you.
I mean, it's like something that I always come back to is a phrase of like, without hope, you can't cope. And from what you're saying, like the rediscovering this new form of CrossFit was your hope. What that was the thing that could keep you going and start to go through the process of reinventing yourself, which is awesome. Like for as long as I've properly known you, you've always been like the CrossFit guy, the CrossFit guy, from doing your wads in Pure Gym and getting told off for getting chalk everywhere and rearranging your gym, to going off and doing what you're doing now. So like I said, I know you said you have that like competitive edge, competing in rugby, that competitive element of training in like in the forces and stuff like that. So at what sort of point did you start to realize that this could be a little bit more than a hobby and we could take this a little bit further than, okay, well, I go and do my 3 or 4 wads a week, I go and join my local box, and kind of that's that?
So I think it was after 2024 when I finished the games, and I went there, and I had a coach at the time, and well, he's still my coach now, but I went there, he planned all my sessions, like all my warm-ups, everything, gave me all my strategies for all these workouts. I went there and the moment got to me. Like all the strategy went out the window, and I just sent every single workout, and I finished 8th. But then the next year, when I qualified again in 2025, it was like I'd already had the experience of like, I've done this now. Like, I know what it feels like. I then, after that first day at the 2025 games, I was second overall. Pretty much then it was like, oh, I can actually compete here. Like, I can do, like, I could podium at this games. And then, but unfortunately, like, I had one bad event, really bad event, and that one bad event just knocked me down. But I finished fifth overall, and that was the real point where it was like, actually, I can do this now. Like, I know what it's like. I know how to, like, where I can push. I know where my weaknesses are. So it's like damage control events and things like that. And then that, yeah, led on to 2026 season where I was like very rigid in my training, nutrition, everything. And yeah, that's why hopefully I think is the reason why I ended up winning the 2026 games. Yeah.
Amazing. So going back to, 2024, and you said that you choked a little bit. You kind of got to that point and didn't perform in the way that you'd wanted to. The strategy goes out the window. Why do you think that was?
I think it was just the moment got to me. Like, I'd never been at a live competition before. So that was my first competition. And like, I didn't know what it felt like. Didn't like, the music was loud. There were fans there, like people watching, like, and it just, the whole thing got to me. And rather than like knowing my own race and staying in my lane, I was watching other people and trying to beat other people rather than sticking to what I'm good at and pacing myself and beating people later on in the workout. I went out way too hot most of the time, and yeah, it didn't work, to be honest. So listen to your coach.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what you said there as well, around what you said about like knowing your strengths, staying in your lane, not spending the whole time watching other people. I think that's just a really like valuable life lesson anyway. Like I know the times where I've been more obsessed with other people than on what they're doing than what I'm doing, and
Yeah,
like that. Not even in a like a CrossFit set, but again,
just
it
the life
applies.
thing.
Like the more you focus on, it's a yeah, definitely, and like that's such a big thing for me. Of like, and one of the reasons that I talk to athletes on the podcast and stuff like that, because these journeys, these experiences, they do translate over to like everyday life. Like to think that they don't, just because someone is an athlete or has the the sponsorship or this or that, that they don't go through a similar pattern to you. I think that's you're leaving you're leaving it on the table a little bit, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
definitely.
So,
Definitely.
and there's so many situations that I've actually then been able to learn from athletes, from sports teams, from people like yourself, to be like, okay, well, how can I apply that lesson? How can I apply that approach to me? Because I used to be similar to you, like with so many things, with business, with life, with everything. It's all about coming out the blocks as quick as you can and going crazy and kind of obsessing over like what other people are doing, just trying to fit in and trying to stay in. Like you're so busy looking at over here at what they're doing that you actually forget what you're doing. And
Yeah.
I've like wasted so much time, energy, like kind of sent myself up the wrong path, or put my ladder up against the wrong buildings. Probably a better analogy there. And then you kind of realize that this isn't right, and you
Yeah.
have that opportunity to reset and to come back to I always talk about like coming back to zero and having that ability to like to reset. Like you know we'll get into like the whole idea of CrossFit in a minute, but like I'll say it here now, like you are the reason that I got into CrossFit.
Yeah.
Whether it's just watching you on your journey, some mild bullying and pushing me into it,
Yeah.
and also that at the
But you
event in
will
Bath
love it.
last year, we went and watched Liam. Like that
Yeah.
was kind of like that started something for me that I kind of needed to pursue. There was a few things I looked at that I didn't that didn't necessarily play out, but I managed to get myself in a situation now. Training at Flow State CrossFit Tewkesbury, put my teeth back in, and like that is just something that has been I started that in January, and I haven't looked back.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that.
That's all right, mate. So I told you you'd love it.
Yeah, you did as well. And you said it so many times. And genuinely, when I looked at doing my beginner's course, there was a moment where I sort of like stalled on it. And I said to Bron, I was like, I think he might end up paying for it. And then I'm like, well, you owe me now. And then I'm like, oh, shit, I actually have to do this now. But yeah, like I think as a thing as a whole, like I don't look back and I struggle to see a way of like training not in a CrossFit setup.
Yeah.
Like I went and did like a workout in my local Pure Gym the other day, and I'm like, well, this is boring, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it just
Yeah,
didn't.
it's slightly
It,
different.
yeah, so well,
Yeah.
slightly very
Yeah.
different, and it just didn't do anything for me. And I think like that's actually a really good thing because I've been really up and down with training over the years, really struggled with it, but like I hit numbers now that I've never hit before, and there's elements of CrossFit that kind of going back to the point that we were saying earlier, like you said, that you've got events that you're better at than and worse at. We're all going to have that. Like I know that for
Yeah.
me, in with the app that we use for my box, like there's some days that I'm at the top of that leaderboard, in
Yeah.
the top 5 to 10. You weightlifting, let's go and pick up
Yeah. Yeah.
some heavy black circles, and then there's days where you just try not to finish bottom.
Yeah. You're
And
surviving.
absolutely, but like it's one of those things where you're only going to get better at it by doing it.
Doing it.
And
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. So moving on to the games this year. So you go through that period of, I've trained and I've trained and I've trained and trained, and I've got these kind of like this data set from the previous 2 years. So you fly out to San Diego. How are you feeling within yourself? How are you approaching it this year differently than you did the time before?
To be honest, like the days leading up, it wasn't that much different to Vegas. Like, well, I was going out on my own. So, but then last minute, my wife and daughter came, which was actually brilliant having them there. Like, I'm so glad they did come. So it was a bit like organizing that was like took my mind off the competition, if you know what I mean. So I was trying to organize like getting their plane tickets, getting them sat where I was sat because they were on two different bookings and that. So in a way, it was quite helpful because I wasn't stressing about the competition. I was thinking about something else. But I got there probably so we flew on the Wednesday. No, we flew on the Tuesday, I think. On the Wednesday, I have like a shakeout session just to like move a little bit from the flight and just move basically to get the flight out your system. And then on the Thursday, you check it. And yeah, this year, like I wasn't as nervous as I usually am. It was more like quietly confident. Do you know what I mean? Like my open result, I did pretty well. I finished first there. My semi-final result, I finished third. So I was like at the top end of the leaderboard. So I was quietly confident that I would be able to push the guys at the top and try and get them to chase me in some of the events. But yeah, I wasn't nowhere near as nervous. And I think the fact that I've experienced this, the whole like check-in, the briefings, I'd experienced it for the previous 2 years. Like I sort of knew what was coming. Like, yeah, it was in a different place, but it's the same system set up each year. Like you go get your kit, you try it on, you get your photos, you then have your briefing. You sit down there for an hour or 2 hours, however long the briefings take, sometimes too long. But you sit there and you listen to it. You wait for people to ask their silly questions. Then you leave. And then it's rinse and repeat. You just go back, go home, chill out, have some food, go to sleep, ready for the next day. And I didn't start to get nervous until like I was literally walking out onto the floor. So it was good as well because like I get on really well with the guys in my category. So I think we like us having a bit of banter beforehand, before each event, like takes the nerves away a little bit. So you're just a little bit less stressed. But it's like, as soon as you stop talking and you're walking out, that's when they start to come in a little bit, and you're like, oh, now it's go time. But yeah,
Mate,
it was I was not as nervous this year.
no, and I think it's a large part of it is kind of like you said there, just kind of going through it, feeling
Yeah,
it, experiencing it. So there isn't any surprises.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, amazing, mate. And like I know it was from my point of view, where I was keeping up to date with it on like socials, and end of the first day, you sat there sort of in and around that podium contention, and then you would go to bed. The next night you wake up and you're like, "Oh, you're a lot higher up. You were just 20 points behind first place, I think it was, and then
Yeah.
woke up on Monday morning, obviously with American time and stuff like that, and you're there, you're top. Kind of talk to me how about that process over that weekend of the games. Like you start, like you said, you start off, you get a little bit nervous going up for the
Yeah.
events. How was that process? How did you feel? What were you thinking?
So yeah, basically, so you walk onto the floor and then it's go time. So the first event was the double under event. So I've been working really hard to do my double unders. Like, when I double under, I have to double under on one leg, which is obviously my good leg. So, which is doing a double under with two legs is hard in itself. But when you're doing it with one leg, you have to try and jump even higher. And I'm not exactly the lightest bloke. So trying to jump my body weight 30 times and spin a rope round twice is quite difficult. But I had my strategy going out into that first event. It was like break the double unders like into 15s. Like, so it was 30 reps I had to do 3 times. And the first set I did 30 unbroken double unders, and I've never done that before in my life. So again, the 215s sort of went out the window a little bit. But then in the next set, because the fatigue starts to set in, that's when I was like, right, no, listen to my body, let's break it up. So broke it up and finished that event in 3rd place, which again, like that was a sort of a damage control event because I didn't know how the other guys were with their double unders. And yeah, luckily I finished 3rd on that one. So I was pretty chuffed that event was done, because that was the double unders I'm not a fan of anyway. Me and double unders just don't get on very well. But then in the second event, it was like the rowing and skiing event with burpees at the start of every 2 minutes. And also I do not enjoy the rowing machine. So those 2 events were basically machines movements that I'm not a fan of. So that first day was just complete damage control. And luckily I finished 3rd in both. So my 2 damage control events were, I managed to stay up there in the podium spots. So I was pretty chuffed with that. And then the next day was it was the lift event. We had to complete a, what was it? So it was a hang snatch, and then into you could touch and go snatch, or you were able to have 3 seconds on the floor and then be able to lift. So it was a snatch complex basically. And again, Olympic lifting, that's sort of my thing. I love it. So I managed to hit an 83.5 kilo snatch. Well, hang snatch and then a snatch. So that was a PB in my complex, because I tested it before, the weeks leading up to it, and I only ever got to 82. So I managed to PB on that event, and I won that event. So I was chuffed with that. And then the next step, or the next event that day, was a thruster and echo bike event. So 2 really fun movements. And again, I just stuck to my plan, stuck to the strategy, and I actually managed to be out in front. And I was not expecting to be out in front in that event. But yeah, I just held on and didn't rush the thrusters, didn't rush the echo bike, just stuck to a consistent pace and managed to win that event. So then I've got 2 3rd place finishes and then 2 1st place finishes. So now I was like, second place overall on the leaderboard. And that was when I was like 20 points behind the guy, Nui, who was at the top. And like, Nui's just a beast. He's just like, his engine is just unreal. And the fact that I could stay with him on especially the rowing and ski erg one, I could stay, well, I wasn't near him, but placing wise, I was near him. That helped me massively. And then on the last day, so I'm 20 points behind him. We go to the first event that day. I can't remember. I think it was I can't remember the event now. Oh, it was the burpee broad jump event. So there was a bit of like, yeah, it was. So we were told in the briefing to go. So there was 3 yellow lines on the floor. So in the briefing before we walked out, they were like, "It's you start behind the first yellow line, and you finish behind the third yellow line." So no, you finish behind the second yellow line, they said. So we go out there onto the floor, do the first bit, like I'm doing my burpees. And then I go to turn around at the second yellow line and my judge is like, "No, you've got to go to the third." So I'm like, "What?" So that just like threw the whole thing out of, and I was winning at that point at the event. So I had to then turn around, do the next bit and then go back. Luckily I got to the ski erg, which was the finish second, and I finished second overall in the event again. So like, yeah, it was annoying that happened, but at the end of the day, it's down to the judge. It's the judge. Like, yeah, you can complain as much as you want, but if the judge has been told one thing and you've been told something different, you listen to the judge, really, don't you? Let's be honest. So I was like, I finished second. I wasn't that fuming about it. And then some time went past and the leaderboard like didn't go up for ages. And basically like loads of people would put appeals in and it shook up the leaderboard a little bit. So then I actually ended up at the top. So it came down to the last event that I needed to beat Nui to win, or if he beat me, he would have won. So it was like we were that close that it was either that last event is what it came down to.
Sick. So good.
And yeah, it was like, again, we're bantering before the event, just having a laugh, trying to like take the nerves off. And then as soon as you're stood on your mat, it's like, right, go time now. Like we're all just stood there ready to go. And then it's like 3, 2, 1. And the beep goes off and you're just sprinting. So my coach said about my wall balls. So it was 50 wall balls. And he said, if you need to break them at 30 to then be able to hold the rest of the movements unbroken. But I was feeling pretty good. So I just held on and did the 50 unbroken and then got onto the kipping knee raises and did them unbroken as well. So I was then leading from that point. And we had to do then 10 D-ball, like ground to shoulder or D-ball cleans. So just held onto the D-ball, got the 10 done. And then it was like you had to do a D-ball carry. And because I don't walk very well, I hop quicker than I walk. So I'm carrying the D-ball and hopping to like the bit. So I'll hop there, turn around, hop back. And then like, yeah, just was absolutely buzzing that I won the event, and just literally it was brilliant. Like shook my judge's hand, and like it takes a while for the scores to come up on the last event because they're obviously all calculating everything. But yeah, the feeling of just like finishing and winning the event, especially that last one, it was so good. And like I could see Martha and Ottilie just watching, and yeah, it was great. Like it was a great feeling. But like the whole weekend overall, it was like it's just great fun. Like we just had such a good time. Like all the events were really good. Like they were all really different, and there were events where like not every event suited one person. Do you know what I mean? Like the variation in the events was really good. That not one person just was so good at the whole thing and just won every event and then won by 100 points. Like, our leaderboard was really close, which again made the competition more fun, because
Mm.
that you being competitive around the other guys is just, yeah, it's really good. It was a great weekend.
Mate, I love it. And you get to that point, you've won, and you go up to the podium and collect your medal. What was going through your what was going through your head when you got that medal finally?
It was just a bit of like, it was just a bit surreal, to be honest. Like, standing on the top of the podium, like, we got these medals, and yeah, they're like, it was a hefty bit of metal, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, it was, yeah, it was quite heavy. But yeah, like, to win the CrossFit Games on the 20-year anniversary as well, like, it was just, yeah, it was so good. Like, I was up there and you just, like, you can't quite believe it. Like, it doesn't really sink in because you're just in the moment and you're just like, you're just going through it. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's hard to explain. Like, I was taking it all in. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Just
trying
taking your
to
time.
enjoy it. And like, I could see Martha and Ottilie, like, I was just trying to enjoy the moment. But yeah, it was brilliant. Like, I've never experienced anything like that.
Yeah, and like even back here, like we're all so buzzing for you. And like I saw that you won like first thing on a Monday morning, and you could just go in with such a I was just buzzing for you. The
Yeah.
amount of people I went and then told, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you are interested in CrossFit because I'm going to tell you all about it,
Yeah.
and so when I went through it, and it's just, mate, it's so good to see. And like like it's someone that kind of has a bit of an understanding around like what you go through and what you put it in. It's like that's such a big achievement to go out there and do that and be fittest man alive, which is what a fucking title to hold.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, it's mad. Like, the amount of effort you put, like, you put your whole life into it. And then it's like, yeah, it's crazy.
Mate, incredible. And so talk to me about like what's life been like since.
So I took like a week off of completely training, and then like got back into it a little bit, just a bit of movement, but then got like a bit ill. I think it was just because obviously like I said, you put your whole life into it, and then you come home and you just stop. Like, your body's like, oh, you can be ill now, have that. So yeah, it was like, I needed some time to recover, especially like with the CRPS, and like, my movement wasn't that great straight after it, especially with flying home as well, and the jet lag. Like, it really like affects that whole left hand side of my body. So yeah, just took some time and then got back into it. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, life is, I'm back to training again. So it's, yeah, it's back to normal, really. I'm back to training. I'm coaching a couple hours a week. And yeah, it's just I don't know, just back to normal, trying to try and retain the next one, I guess.
Yeah, well,
That's all I'm
that was the
thinking
next
about.
thing. Like, what is next?
Yeah.
Like, what's the next goal?
So I've got like a couple competitions lined up. I've got Barcelona in Barcelona in September. So I'll be doing that one, and then it's like a couple adaptive comps that I'm going to do. Like, I'm doing one with Martha, and then one with another one of my friends, and just like go there, really enjoy them, like get Martha back into CrossFit, and then yeah, go back into the open and try and retain the fittest on earth. I'm going to look at doing a couple potentially able-bodied competitions.
Okay.
Like, I know I've got limitations, like I can't run, I can't use my left leg, like I have to squat with a box. But I'm going to see if I'm able to do any of these comps that they'll facilitate. Like, I'm happy to do the same weight as the other guys and do the other movements to the best of my ability. But like squatting and running, I can't do. But I'll just, I'll just have to take the L on those events. Like, you're good at some, you're not good at some. That's the way it is. And so I'm going to look at potentially doing some qualifiers for some able-bodied events, and see where I stack up. And yeah, maybe just see what happens, really. But the main goal is win the CrossFit Games again, go for number 2. That's the main goal. And just, yeah, try and fend off Nui when he comes chasing for the medal.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the conversation, really appreciate you as a person. And before we kind of just start wrapping things up, where can people find a little bit more out about you?
So, I mean, I've got my Instagram. It's danlong_athlete. Like, I post my training videos and things like that on there, post a little bit about my life. I'm going to start posting a little bit more about my life. And yeah, that's the main place people can find me. Yeah, I don't really have much else, to be honest.
No,
Do TikTok occasionally, but Instagram's the main one, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. And all of that will be linked below. So if you're watching or listening along and you want to go and connect with Dan, it's all in the description. And yes, you do need to do more live stuff on your Instagram. You need to vary it up a bit, and live would be awesome.
Yeah. All right. On it.
I'm going to bully you into that, like you bullied me into CrossFit.
Yeah, that's fine, mate. That's fine. We'll make each other better people.
Definitely. And that's what it's all about. Appreciate you, mate.
Thank you, mate.